Hello, Bronya.
Hello, Sammy. Good morning.
Good morning. Nice
On a
and bright in
Sunday
there.
morning.
Yeah, after a late night. A few
Yeah.
Malibus.
Oh, well. Thing is, we're getting drunk on Malibu. It's the sugar rush and the alcohol, isn't it?
Mm,
Yeah. What do you
yeah,
have with your Malibu?
ice.
Okay, fair enough. Why water it down with anything?
Yeah,
Just on the rocks. It's
yeah,
just
yeah. People think I'm weird. They're like, really? You want a Malibu on the rocks? But yeah, it's my preferred drink. I don't like much. I can't drink whiskies or rums or
Yeah. Well,
anything like that.
Malibu is a white rum, isn't it?
Yeah, but it doesn't taste like rum, so okay.
See, I do like a Malibu and Diet Coke.
Yeah, yeah,
Mm.
but
And I have a friend that we used to go out a lot with, and she can't drink Diet Coke, so she has normal Coke. So we'd go to the bar and we'd go Malibu with fat and Malibu with thin.
yeah, yeah. So I did go for a phase of having it with soda water, but
Oh,
the bar when you go, "Can I have a Malibu and soda water?" Sometimes I'd get a Malibu and a soda water.
oh, so you're having
It's
to
not
pour
very
your own.
yeah. So, but yeah, no, Malibu on the rocks,
Oh,
my
very nice.
tipple. And I think I've got a midgy bite on my thumb as well.
Oh, I've got thousands of midgy bites. My knee this week. So I was walking the dogs. I was bitten on my knee. I swiped off whatever it was and it was bleeding. So I
Oh
don't know what,
wow.
yeah. So it was quite a big, whatever it was. Then my knee started to swell up because you know what I'm like with midgy bites.
Mm,
Me and bites, me and insects, they are, I could stand it in a field with a tiger and be fine. Stand in
yeah.
the field with a midgie, I'd be terrified. So my knee swelled up, and then it went right the way down my leg. So by the end
Oh,
of the week, I had cankle as it
nice.
slipped down my leg. I mean, what is it with me and midgies? I'm an English
Yeah.
rose, apparently. And
You are.
I even bought those bracelets. Look, I've got one.
Oh,
Those
yeah,
bracelets with
they don't
citronella
work.
on. They do nothing.
You need them on your ankles.
I need them on every single part of my body. I need to
Yeah,
strap myself in with them.
yeah,
I need one on each wrist, one on each ankle, round my neck, round my
yeah.
waist.
Earrings, the lot.
Yeah. I'm sure they work if you're not as susceptible to them as
Yeah,
me. But
yeah. So what are we
right.
talking about today?
Oh, you got him before I did.
I did. I did. Dun, dun, dun.
So today we are talking about pricing. So we're carrying on with our Cake Business Fundamentals. This is
Mhm,
part 4.
mhm.
And today we're talking about pricing and like financial stuff, but financials surrounding your pricing and that sort of
Yeah,
thing. Um,
yeah,
and I've looked at this in a way of rather than working out your pricing, it's like, what do you want out of your pricing?
mhm.
Does that make
Yeah.
sense?
I've kind of done a bit of both. Plus,
Okay.
I've thought about if you were going into another business,
Hmm.
so like diversifying your business. So say you were doing a cake stall or something like
Yeah.
that, or, because you have to think
Yeah.
about that because that's all part of cake business,
Yeah. There's so
really.
much, so much. I mean,
Yeah.
it's not just about making cakes or
No.
making celebration cakes or wedding cakes.
Yeah.
There's so many, many things. And we did hint on this last week, but we are evolving the podcast, and it may include things like that in the
Yes.
future. Oh.
Yes. Dun, dun,
So
dun.
so the first thing that I looked at was to think of what you want to earn and how many hours you want to work.
Oh yes,
And that
that's a good point. I haven't done it like that
Oh,
really.
okay. Yeah, so I
Yeah.
kind of thought, how much do you actually want to earn out of your business? How many
Yeah.
hours you want to work? And that will kind of start off a basic hourly take-home
Yeah.
pay that you then have to build on with all your other costs,
Yeah,
etc.,
yeah,
etc.
yeah. That's a good point to make because some people want to do it for part time,
Yeah.
whereas I do it as full time.
Yeah. Yeah.
So
I mean, do you
yeah,
want like a 10 grand salary? Do you want a 50 grand salary? Do
yeah,
you want to work 3 hours a week? Do you want to work 40 hours a week? How does
yeah,
that all relate to to what you need and what you
Yeah.
want to do in your business.
Yeah.
And that will give you like that base layer of take home.
Can you hear the little boy next door?
Yeah, I did.
He's calling for me.
Oh, is it? Oh, bless his heart.
He's so sweet. I have a bird feeder that I've fitted. Me and my son Jack have fitted, and he bought some bird food for it yesterday, and we filled it up this morning. So he's just very excited about it all.
Oh, that's so sweet.
Yeah. So
okay.
yes. Yes.
Yeah. So that's how I started looking at, because that's like your time is your biggest cost in any cake making. Your time is the biggest cost, and that's the one that you have to prioritize.
Yeah.
Because so many people don't prioritize it. It's like the last in the pile, isn't it? It's like,
oh, definitely. Yeah.
I take everything else out, and then what I've got left is what I pay myself.
Yeah. And you need to do that. You have to think about that differently, because then you'll start making profits. I've looked at various other sites today when I was doing my research, and some people say add up your goods and materials, labor, packaging, etc. first, and then add on. Or some people do it as your hour, how many hours, like you were just saying, and do it that way. So that there are a variety of ways that you can do it.
Yeah.
But I think once you're constantly ensure that you're consistently making a profit on your cakes.
Make sure definitely. I always, because we've talked about like profit first before, and there also is a difference between making a profit and paying yourself. Because paying yourself is a cost. So say, for example, you're talking about Sainsbury's, right? So say you look at a big business like Sainsbury's, they don't put their wages bill down as profit. That's a cost to them. Their profit is on top of that cost. So see your wages as another part of your business. So put down all your costs and put your wages right at the very top, but also make sure you put a profit there as well. Because profit is what you're going to plow back into your business to make your business work in the future. So, I put a 5%. I know some people put 10%, some people put 15%, but I put 5% of everything that comes into my business. I put 5% aside, and that will pay for me to do training. That will pay for me to do, if my oven breaks, there's money aside for that. If my mixer needs a service, there's money put aside for that. And that is my profit for me. It's all like, it's on an extra on top of my wages, on top of all my costs, on top of my, and put all your costs in. I know we've spoken about this before, but your ingredients, your boards, your boxes, all of it.
From like I've written, so your cost of your goods and your materials. Your cost of labor, your cost of packaging.
So many people forget that bit, the packaging.
Your cost of marketing, because you're going to spend time doing that, and things like your energy, how much energy you're going to use to power your oven, to run your mixers, your water rates,
your car,
your insurances that you have, your public liability, etc., etc.
How do you work yours out with all of that stuff? How do you, because I do it as a percentage, but how do you work yours out?
I tend to do it as a percentage, and I do 25. I do it like a 25% thing. But I use Bake Diary, don't I?
Of course, and they do it all for you. So what the way I do it is everything that comes into my business, I put 5% aside for profit. I put 5% aside for tax, because that's another one that can bite you in the bum later on. So if you
Yeah.
can save up that before you get there.
And national insurance as well, because you want
Yeah.
to be able to have a pension
Yes.
when you retire,
Yeah.
which is very, very, very important.
Very important. And then what I do is I put 60. So everything that comes into my business, I put 60% aside for my wages. And then I draw on that and give myself a monthly wage.
Mm.
And then everything that's left, so that's 30%, everything that's left is my costs in my business. So that's what sits in my business doing. So paying for my ingredients, my packaging, and all the other. So all my bills come out of the remaining 30%.
Yeah. So when you're working out your costs and you're gonna so say you took all of these things, your ingredients, your blah 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 blah, your hours, and you get a figure. You're making a 6-inch cake.
Yeah.
You're doing this, that, and the other, and you've worked it out. And just to make it, it's say going to cost you £46.25.
Yeah. Yeah.
Then you're going to add your markup to it. So how much markup would you put on yours?
So I would then add, see, I do, oh, that's complicated. Yeah. So I would probably add a big markup, because then I've got to add 60% for my wages.
Yeah.
And 10 to 15% for tax and profit. So I'm probably looking at least probably doubling it, to be honest. Because if you work it backwards, that's how the percentages would kind of work. So I'm probably doubling.
Yeah.
So you're getting close to like £90, £100.
Yeah. That's what my 6 inches tend to go out for.
Yeah.
You see?
Which some people would sit there and go, oh my God, that's a lot. But you've got to pay yourself, and you've got to cover all these things. You really have.
Definitely.
And also, you don't want to get to the end of the year and find you've got a tax and national insurance bill that's got to come out of your own pocket, because this is your business that should be paying for it.
Yeah, definitely. I've said that a lot today. Definitely.
So is that a similar thing to what you would put on?
Yeah. There's a variety of people have said put 10% on or go up to 50%. But I think go higher, because otherwise you're making that cake for nothing.
And I think also 10%, you're not including your salary for yourself.
No.
And I think you either put your wages into your costs or you add it on extra. And I think the thing is that when you're a small business or you're a lone trade, you're like a sole trader, you don't consider your salary as a cost. So say your cake is £46.20 to make, and then you've got to add 4 hours on. What is your hourly rate? Then that's actually your cost. And then maybe add 10% for your profit. Yeah. And I get that, because that's like different. But I would just, for anyone listening, I just urge everyone to make sure your salary is top priority cost. Because otherwise, if you just put 10% on, you'll get to the end of it and you've probably learned, what, £2 an hour?
Yeah.
And no one can survive on that.
No. And then you're just working your guts out for nothing.
Yeah.
And that's quite demoralizing. So you need to empower yourself to properly price your cakes, which will make you feel better in your business, more confident. And plus as well, you've got to think about the area you're in as well.
Yeah. There's so many external factors, isn't there? That
because some people won't book a cheaper cake because they're like, oh, you're shit.
It's the perception of who you are, isn't it?
Yeah.
You're creating that perception of who you are.
Yeah.
And your price is so important in that. It's true. Some people would go, oh, well, only £30. Well, no, clearly you're using rubbish ingredients or something.
Yeah.
Or you're not good at what you do.
And I think it's very important as well to set a minimum order price.
Yes. Oh my God, yes.
because
a minimum, a minimum
yeah,
value of any order. Don't turn your oven on for less than what you're setting it at.
yeah,
Yeah.
yeah. I've had I've got quite a quiet month this month, which is quite nice. Even though it's August. So I've had quite a lot of ghost calls, you know, where they phone up, you
Mhm.
give them the price,
Yeah.
you've worked it out, and they go, "Oh, okay, I'll just check with my husband." Or
Yeah.
I had one on Friday going, "Oh, I'll just check your internet, your website." And then I don't hear from them again
Right.
because obviously they're looking for last minute cakes and they want a cheap price.
Yeah.
But don't crumble and go,
No.
I need the money. Oh my God, I'm going to do that cake. Because those are the ones that normally make you feel so angry that you're
Yeah.
spending all this time on a cake you hate.
Yeah. And the thing is that you might think you've got money coming in, but if you've dropped your price that much, actually, you might not have money coming in. You might just be spending time.
Yeah.
I mean, I know for a fact that when cakes have gone wrong and you spent more time on them than you wanted to, you end up actually paying someone to make their cake almost,
Yeah.
because you're not getting anything in for it because it's gone on for so long.
Yeah.
Um, yeah, you're not getting money in by making
Mm.
those cheap cakes. And the other thing is don't get into a price war, because no one wins in price wars. Because price wars, they just go down. You know, you're just knocking your prices down. So
Yeah.
you get another cake maker said that they can do it for 40 quid, and it's like, oh, okay, I'll do it for 35. And all they're doing is they're playing you off against one another, and no one is going to win
No.
except for the person that's got the cake.
I had a customer last week say, as I'm a first-time customer, can you give me a discount, please?
No.
And I went back, I'm sorry, because previously I know I would have gone, oh, okay, I'll give you £5 off. You know, I'd do something like that.
Yeah.
I went, I'm sorry, my prices are non-negotiable.
Oh, nice.
And
Do
I
you know,
was
you know
so proud of myself.
when I worked at the shoe company, we used to go to Blackpool to sell shoes to dancers. We used
Yeah,
to go to a big ballroom dance competition. We
yeah,
only sold dance shoes. And I remember we used to get so many people coming up going, do you do discounts for dancers?
yeah,
It's like, what? Who else are we selling to? What do you mean a
yeah,
discount for dancers?
yeah,
So no, it's just, don't let people pressure you,
no,
because you're the one that's going to lose at the end of the day, and you're not a
yeah,
big business, and you don't have reserves to tuck into, and you
yeah,
know, and even sometimes I might, if I'm doing like bulk, if I'm doing like a bulk thing, then because then, so say it's like you're charging £3.50 for a cupcake, but then you have a bulk order of cupcakes, because you can batch bake and you can
yeah.
be more time efficient, then I might reduce the cost per cake.
Mm.
um
Or I did a quote last week for a cake that was £3,000 with sugar
Ooh,
flowers,
wow.
£3,000. And she also wanted 2 cutting cakes. And I said to her, if you book the cutting cakes, if you book with me and go with the £3,000 cake, I will give you one of the cutting cakes for free.
Right.
I worked it like that.
Yeah.
But I knew she wasn't going to book with me because she had a cake off me a few years ago, and I was still blue around the ears, or what was it? Blue around the
Green.
gills? Green. Close. And I gave her a cheaper cake, but she wanted the same for
Yeah.
an even bigger cake.
Yeah.
And I was like, no,
See,
I had to say
that's
no.
the other thing. As soon as you drop your price for someone, they will go and tell their mates.
Yeah. Yeah.
And then
That's
their
right.
mate will come back and go, well, you did it for my mate for X amount of money. And it's like, please just stop. So
Yeah.
you're just building problems after problems after problems by offering discounts, by doing cheap cakes, by competing with cheap cake makers. Set your price, keep to it.
Yeah.
Set your hourly rate.
If you
and
are
keep
going to
to
offer a
it.
discount, say like for friends and family, just do it at 10%. I
Yeah.
do the same
Yeah.
right across the board. You
Right.
can
So I
always
have a deal with friends and family, right? So
Yeah.
my deal with friends and family is if I can make whatever cake I want. So if you say to me, I want something for, I don't know, little Johnny for a 5-year-old, he's really into,
Minions.
yeah, let me do whatever I want. I'll do it for free, right? If you start saying, I want this cake in this, in this flavor, etc., I'm going to charge my friends and family the same price as I charge everyone. I don't
Yeah.
give them a discount. So that's my deal with my friends and family. If they let me do what I want, they can have it for free because I can have fun with it. If they want to be particular about it, I'm sorry, they're just a customer like everyone else. But everyone's different. So you give, so you give like a 10%, and that's good because you can say, well, you've got my friends and family discount. You're
That's
offering them
right.
something. Yeah.
And
And it's
then that makes them feel good.
things like that you need to put into your business plan. So then you've got your boundaries set right from the start, what your boundaries are about your finances,
Because
how much
people
money
will
you'll make.
take the piss, won't
Yeah, they
they?
will. Set those boundaries, put them in your business plan. Another thing that I was going to talk about was, what is your deposit?
Oh,
So your
so
deposits, your payment policies, all that, and your returns policy with money, all that kind of thing.
that's
Make sure
very
all that's
important.
in, because actually your deposits will then talk about your cash flow. They will
And
go on.
schedule them in as well. So I use Bank Diary, and I can schedule in the deposit. So when they receive their invoice, they know how much they have to pay for the deposit and how much they have to pay on their final payment, which needs to be made before they collect the cake.
Yeah, always.
And
Never
for
let people
weddings,
do cash on delivery ever.
I take £100 save the date deposit. And
Right.
then they have to make, I've changed it over the years because we used to run a different policy, but now I take the payment 28 days before the wedding.
Yeah. And I think the thing
that
is
suits
that
me.
you'll start to change things over the years, not just because you don't want to be ripped off. It's actually how much money do you need in your bank every month?
Yeah.
And if you're going to start a cake that's going to be £3,000 worth of cake, you need their money in to be able to start that cake, to be able to get all the stuff.
Yeah.
Because it is a cash flow problem, and you don't want to be making a cake and not covering the cost of that making it. Just the cost, the bare costs, and then be out of pocket when they turn around and go, actually, I'm not going to give you the last amount of money.
Yeah. And I learned this when you take your deposit, you have to put on there your non-refundable deposit.
Yeah.
Because when they have an issue or they cancel the cake, or Auntie Brenda's going to make the cake now,
and they ask for all their money back.
Because
you've already started investing your time in it. And I know that if it went to court, you would have to justify the money that you've taken on a deposit and not given a product. So you would have to justify the time that you've already spent on the emails going backwards and forwards. If you've already bought component parts that you can't use elsewhere, you have to justify that to not be able to give their deposit back. So make sure your deposit is sort of like a reasonable amount.
Oh, definitely. So I tend to take a £30 deposit, but if it's a cake over a certain amount, and maybe I don't know them, or I feel a bit uncomfortable, I will take more off them. Get it set
and you've
in
got to do
stone.
what's comfortable for your business, not what's comfortable for them.
And how often do you feel that you should check all your prices and go through and make sure, like, do you do a yearly?
I probably do every 6 months. I think at the moment prices are changing so much. And the other thing that I know, and it's because we all hear about it in the news, it's not that I'm some sort of weird geek. We all hear about it in the news when they go, for the first time in X amount of months, inflation has gone up. And as soon as I hear that, I go, right, I need to check my prices.
Yeah.
If they're saying like inflation is staying the same at X amount, you're like, okay, that's fine. If everything's but like, so this month they said inflation's gone up higher than they were expecting. So then I just double check like the basics: butter, milk,
Yeah.
flour, sugar, like the big basics, chocolate.
Yeah. And you're buying these things regularly enough
Yeah, so you'll
that you
see.
know the prices.
Yeah.
You can see when they're going up.
If
Boards
you
and
see a
boxes
big
is the one
jump,
that I tend not to look at.
what's
But
that?
so
Sorry.
boards and boxes,
Oh, okay.
I forget about those ones
Yeah.
because I'm buying those mainly online
Yeah. And also probably you're not buying them as
as
often because you
often.
bulk buy. Yeah.
Yeah. Well,
But
I'm
yeah, I would,
tending not to bulk buy now because I don't really have the room.
yeah,
I just keep a base stock of them.
a small stock.
Yeah.
Yeah. I think you'll notice things like jumps in price of chocolate and butter. So you can do them straight away. But generally I would probably look every 6 months to see,
Yeah.
unless there's something on the news that's telling me that inflation has shot sky high.
Yeah.
And then I'll have a look. That's all for like celebration cakes. If you were so for example, I make cakes for my cake shed, and I set like a price per slice. So all my slices of cakes, and this is part of my business plan, my business policy is all my cakes are the same price. They're £2.50 per slice. So I have to make a judgment call sometimes on whether I lose a bit of margin on some, whether I gain a bit of margin on others. Some things like cookies, I've cut back the size of the cookie a little bit, or I haven't put as many chocolate chips in because they're the expensive part. So my policy is £2.50, but then rather than put my prices up and keep all my cakes the same, I would rather it's that shrinkflation thing. We all know how big a box of Quality Streets is now compared to when we were 10 years old. But it's kind of that thing. You have to, I've had to maneuver my product around.
Yeah.
And sometimes I do like little trays, and the trays will have a value or a cost. And then I think, well, okay, so I won't put so much buttercream on the top because the buttercream is more. So I kind of have to fiddle around with that.
Yeah.
Because I don't want lots of different prices in the cake shed. I want it to be as easy as possible for people.
That's right. And say you are going to have a food stall or something like that, or you're making something like a waffle or something on site.
Yeah.
You have to factor in how many can you make in that amount of time. So say you're going to go, oh, I can make 50. Can you actually make 50? So maybe do a trial run and
see how long it takes you to do 5 and scale that up. And because it could be actually you can only make 20.
Yeah.
And therefore your price that you set for making 50, you're way out.
Yeah, definitely.
Right. Anything else on your list? I think the perception thing is big, actually. Your perception. So I know that I could charge £1.50 a slice in my cake shed. And I also know other people that charge £4.50 a slice in a cake shed. But that gives a different perception. You charge your £1.50, people start thinking your ingredients aren't so great. You're not that. There's something about charging cheap that people suddenly go,
yeah, you pay for what you get.
Yeah, you're not a proper cake maker then?
Yeah, you're a home baker.
Oh, yeah. Yeah. Or if you charge a lot, the expectation on that product is big. So if I was charging £4.50, I would feel awful using Lidl chocolate.
Yeah.
I would expect
that's right. You get that
expensive chocolate. Yeah. So there is like that. There is a perception, and you've got to think how you would feel, and what that perception is. But I do think the more expensive, the more stress goes into it. Personally,
definitely.
Someone's paying £3,000 for a cake. Oh my life! Think of the stress levels on that.
Yeah, it was a really nice cake, though.
I bet it was. I bet it was beautiful.
Yeah. But there you go. So shall I launch straight into?
Go straight in. Okay.
Top tips, top tips. Everyone loves Bronya and Sammy's top tips. Bow. So do you
Right,
want
I
to
think
just
you're
say?
first, I think.
Oh, right. Okay. I nearly gave it away then.
Oh,
So,
yeah.
you know that thing that you have to do every day in your kitchen? Your food
Cleaning.
safety. No, your food
Oh, yes.
safety checklist.
Yeah.
So my top tip, I may have done this before as a top tip. It's to do it every day.
Yes.
Because
Routine.
it it's not so much that you're doing it, because you're doing it to keep your business safe and to keep your
Yeah.
customers safe. But when the environmental health officer turns up, that is the one thing that will get you a 5 is your
Yeah.
paperwork.
Paperwork.
If you
Proof.
haven't done it, they want to see. And if you've got a business like a shop, they can just turn up
Yeah, they can
unannounced,
walk
can't
through the
they?
door anytime.
And
So I obviously manage a coffee shop, and they walked through the door 6 weeks before the end of the term.
mm,
Just walked in the door. And if you don't do it every day, you go,
mm,
"Oh, I'll just catch up at the end of the week," and they walk in on a Thursday or a Tuesday and you haven't done
yeah,
it,
you're going to
they'll
get a
know.
4.
Yeah.
They might see all the other paperwork you've done, but you're still going to get a 4, and
Yeah.
you want a 5.
What a 5.
Yeah,
Absolutely 5. I
yeah,
think, also, I know when we interviewed Natalie Stanton, there were certain things that she said, like, if you've got food in your fridge that you're using for your business, it's in there every day.
mm,
So you need to check on it every
yeah,
day. Just because you
yeah,
don't bake every day doesn't mean to say the food's not there sat in your
yeah.
fridge.
Or the food temperature. I mean, with the hot weather we've
Oh,
had, I turned my fridge up a
have
notch because it
you?
just wasn't.
Can cope with it.
No, couldn't
Yeah.
get down low enough.
I think
So
also it's quite good to get into a routine anyway, isn't it? Just if
yeah,
you're in that routine, then you won't ever forget.
no, and there is an app you can use as well now.
Is
Um,
there?
yes,
Oh, is this
but
a product of the week?
it could be. I've not used it.
Oh, okay.
I've seen it, but I quite like manually writing it down
Do
because I
you
know.
write all yours down on a piece of paper? Have you got charts and
Yeah,
because
yeah.
I've got all mine on my iPad.
Oh, so no, I've got a special piece of paper.
Right.
There, because there is the government one, but I like using my one because I've
Yeah.
tweaked it for me.
Yeah. The government one's got too much. It wastes too much paper. It's
Yeah,
got too much
yeah.
stuff on it that
But
you ne
there is
necessarily
an
do.
app. I'm gonna look it up now whilst you tell us your top tip of the
Oh,
week.
okay. So my top tip is to do with what we've talked about actually today, and your salary and things like that. And it was all involved with the way you work in your business. So
Yeah.
my top tip is batch baking or batch
Ah,
making.
yeah.
So if you I did a reel about this recently about how I got my life back by batch baking. So say you've got over the next 3 weeks, a 7-inch vanilla cake, a 6-inch vanilla cake, and another 6-inch vanilla cake over the next 3 weeks. Bake them all in one go.
Mhm.
Bake as much as you can that will fit in your oven or your mixer and freeze them. Because say you did the 7-inch this week and you also did next week 6-inch. Next week, how happy will you be with yourself that
Yes.
all you're doing is getting that cake out of the freezer and
Yeah.
decorating it?
And you're saving electricity.
Yes. You're saving on your costs, you're saving on your time, you're getting your
Yeah.
life back.
Yeah.
There's nothing wrong with freezing cake. I, for many, 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 many years, despised the idea of freezing cake, to the point that I would tell everyone our cakes were baked fresh, to order, and we never froze anything. I now freeze everything I
And if
can.
Claridge's can do it, and
Yeah.
Selfridges and the big stores in London, then
Yeah. And I remember when I went on a patisserie course with Mark Tilling. Now, Mark Tilling, he's like top-notch
yeah,
patisserie. You
yeah.
know, he won the
Creme de
professionals,
mil yeah, it
creme
was
de la
creme de
creme.
la creme then, but it's
Um,
professionals now.
and he taught us how to do choux buns. And we piped the choux buns and then we froze them. And then we baked them off the next day. there's nothing wrong with freezing stuff. So batch bake stuff, and also batch make things like your buttercream, your ganache.
Oh God,
all that
yeah.
Just
Yeah.
get it all ready, because
Yeah.
then you're not wasting, because it takes as much time to weigh and mix one cake as it does to weigh and mix 4 cakes
Yeah.
at the same time.
Yeah.
So, if you have to keep
Just
redoing
make
it and
sure you
redoing
can get them all in your oven.
yeah, your oven and your mixer, because
Yeah.
how many times have you gone, "Oh, I'll just
Yeah.
push it another
Well,
egg."
I don't tend to use my mixer. I only use it for buttercream. I
Oh, do
use a
you?
huge bowl and my hand
Oh, your
mixer,
hand. Yeah,
which was product of the week a long time ago,
yeah, it's still
and
going.
it's still going. I've had
Wow,
this for a long time. Every
wow.
now and then I think it's going to go soon. They'll probably go this week now.
Do you have a spare one in a cupboard somewhere?
No, because I have the mixer.
Oh, yeah, so
So
you
I
have got a
could,
spare. You've got a backup.
yeah,
You've always got a
yeah,
backup. Yeah.
yeah,
Yeah, I
definitely.
just batch baking, batch making, it will save you time, it will save you costs. Get into the habit of it. Right,
So
go on then.
I went on and Googled it,
Yeah.
and you've got the Food Safety Compliance app, you've
Ooh.
got the Trail app, Leaf app, so that Food Alert, get
Oh,
switch to
Leaf.
Food
I
Alert.
saw Leaf recently. I think Natalie Stanton's had something to do with Leaf,
Has
actually.
she? I
Yeah,
love
I'm sure I
Natalie
saw
Stanton.
I'm fairly certain I saw on her Instagram the other day, she had been talking to the people at Leaf.
I might
So,
go on and have a look after this.
yeah. That's
Maybe I
that
should trial it.
Yeah! Maybe you should offer to trial it and see what they say.
Yeah. Okay.
Right, so what are we talking about next week?
Hang on. Branding and marketing.
Oh, biggie. It's a biggie. Your branding, your marketing, your messaging, how you're talking to your customers.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Oh,
So
sorry, I've just thought about one more thing. How do you advertise your prices? Do you put them on your website?
yes.
Yeah,
Yes, absolutely.
definitely.
Absolutely. And I know there's this real thing about hiding your pricing in the cake world. Because you're really scared of what other cake makers might
Yeah,
find
well,
out.
I
Right.
think having checked a lot of cake makers out recently, that I think the majority of them put them on the website now.
I think I think the message is coming round. Please tell
Yeah,
everyone how much it's gonna cost. Because um if you don't tell people, they're gonna ask you,
yeah.
and that's just another bit of admin.
Mm-hmm.
Just put it out there in the first place. They can see straight away whether they can afford you or not, or whether they
Yeah.
think you're too cheap or not. And
Mm.
then they'll get in contact if they like the look of your pricing. If you don't
Yeah,
put it out there and someone has to get in contact with you and then they don't look at it, you've just wasted 5 minutes of your life telling them.
that's right. That's
So
right.
just tell
Tell them.
everyone how much. You wouldn't expect to go into Marks and Spencers and then have to go up to a woman and go, "Excuse me, how
Yeah,
much for these jeans?"
yeah. All right.
Yeah,
Well,
right.
so see you next time for branding and marketing, and bye 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 bye. Have a wonderful day.